Hey, go getters, it's Coach Kim, and welcome back to another Women Willpower Wednesday. I'm so excited because it is the month of March, so happy Women's History Month to all of the women out there making change in the world. I congratulate you, I honor you, I thank you for, doing the work that it really takes to make a difference, to make a change, and the work that you do to really inspire others. So, today's topic, I am really talking about what's your story, right? So if you're taking notes, go ahead and get your notepad out, pull up your notepad on your cell phones. It is time to take some notes. So today's topic again is what's your story? Oftentimes we follow people, whether it's a celebrity or whether it's business owners that we know, and it is so important, or even ministry leaders, right? Preachers and evangelists and different people in the world. But the real question is, do you know their story? And once you know their story, is their story inspiring? Or is their story something that you're taken aback from? Is their story like, wow, I don't know how they overcame such a whatever the situation is? And you're like, am I inspired by this, or do I want to do something different? And this is the time where we need to start identifying our story, right? When we tell our story to the world, are people inspired by it, right? Do people learn from our stories? Are people growing from the things that we share in the world? And I think this is the type of question that we probably ask ourselves on a regular basis, because our stories change. And not only do our stories change, but we have so many stories, right? And so one of the stories that I want to share today in particular to help you, get to finding out what's your story is, what is the story that you want to use, whether it's in your career or whether it's in your business, that's going to really bring about change? And again, change, learning, growing. Is it something that's like moving people to take the next? And before you get to trying to figure out or comparing your story to other people, I want you to think about this. Is the story you're sharing authentic? Because everybody don't have a story where they particularly failed, or they lived out of their cars, or they got fired from their jobs and they had to start from the bottom to the top. Everybody doesn't have bottom to top stories. And because that, I want to encourage you, if you're listening today, that's okay, right? Like, you don't have to necessarily have some type of trauma inspired story to get people to work with you, or to get people to feel like you can still help them, right? Because I have several stories, right? I can share a childhood trauma story, right? If that fits that particular client. I can, share a story about overcoming self-sabotage. I can share my most recent story about being a first generation doctor, right? If that inspires the person at that time. But I'm here to tell you, you define the story that you want to share with the world to ultimately work with you, to grow with you, to be okay and not wear this mask. And if we're removing masks, that's also okay. But in removing your mask, are you now moving forward with truth, right? Your truth and the knowledge that you can ultimately share with others. And so the core story that I have, when it comes to my business and why I equip people and inspire people to achieve their personal goals, and why I help people transform from, goal setters into goal getters, is all because once upon a time I was a little girl who literally wrote her goals down on a simple sheet of paper, right? And on that paper, I was able to check mark each goal that I knew that I wanted to achieve. And that means that I achieved them over time. And that little girl grew up to be a woman who was able to accomplish those things, right? And so you ask, like, why are you a goal achievement coach, right? Like, Coach Kim, why do why are you so passionate about goals? Because I know people who write their goals down, manifest them, right? Work into doing, making those manifestations become, reality, means also doing the work, right? Meeting the right people, putting yourself out there, taking those risks. And because I know that that particular strategy worked for my life, I inspire other people to do the same. And I equip people, with those execution plans that's going to get them to their next. I share that to say, what are you really doing? What is your story? What is the story that you're sharing with the world? Because the way social media works, like anybody in the world can see, right, your content and what you're sharing. When you're sharing your story, is it to make somebody laugh, right? Is it to make somebody cry? Is it to make somebody want to transform? Or is it just purely, like content just because somebody needs to, get out of a headspace of work, and maybe they need to, get away from their reality so they can actually just like calm down and just like enjoy the moment. And if that is, there is something, a part of your story that does that for other people, I am telling you today, do it. Do not wait another moment to share the perfect story, right? You have so many stories that you can share. I just list so many of mine. And I think that makes your story so important because you never know who needs it. Like you never know who's waiting on you to tell your story. So that's what I wanted to say today. Please comment down below, share a snippet of possibly your story. I shared, my story right now goals and achieving them. And that's why I am where I am today. And also being like a first generation doctor. And what does that mean for me to continually to, share certain things with people if they also think, if they had a bottom story similar to mine, being raised in the hood and being able to go off to college and, make something of myself, but also empowering other people that they can also do the same, right? So are you just telling your story, or you're telling your story to inspire people, to allow people to learn something, to allow people to grow, to transform, right? Maybe to even laugh. Comment down below. I'll see you next week.